All right, buckle up, everybody, because today we are going deep on, well, this match they're calling El Clasico.
El Clasico.
That's right, PSG versus Manchester City.
Huge match. In the Champions League, of course.
And I think everyone knows these two are like the big money, the big spenders in world football right now. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
They're both having kind of a tough time in the Champions League this year.
Yeah, really surprising, isn't it? I mean,
And it's match day 7.
it's getting down to the wire.
It's getting down to the wire. So really a loss here is pretty disastrous for either team.
Big time.
So what we want to look at today is, we always hear, oh, money buys success in football, but does it?
Right.
And I think this game might give us a little window into,
I think it will. I think what's interesting here is they're both clubs who are kind of struggling in a competition that, frankly, they should be dominating. I mean, PSG, despite the fact that they've got this incredible team, they've never actually won the Champions League.
Never won it. And it's almost like they get to a certain point and then they can't get over that hump. It's and you look at their record recently against Man City, in European competition, 1 win in their last 7.
Yeah, you're right. It's like they hit a wall.
They hit a wall and they've spent so much money to put together this incredible team, and they just can't seem to kind of break through, especially at the Champions League level. And it's not just their away form. They've also had trouble at home. 3 losses in their last 5 Champions League home games.
Yeah, they have. But I will say their overall form at home is actually pretty strong. I mean, across all competitions, they've won 9 of their last 12 at home.
Yeah, so it seems like maybe it's a mental thing with the Champions League.
It could be.
That they get there, the pressure's on.
Maybe.
Let's talk about Man City for a second. The reigning champions, but I mean they haven't been I guess as invincible as we're used to seeing them.
No, you're right. And they're actually in their longest winless streak in the Champions League since 2014.
Wow.
And that's 3 games in a row. So they haven't won in 3 Champions League games, which, you don't see that very often with City. And to add to that, if they were to lose to PSG, they could actually get knocked out of the group stage.
I mean, that would be an incredible upset.
Yeah. And that hasn't happened since 2012, 2013 season. I mean, it's unthinkable almost, For people who maybe aren't as familiar with the Champions League format, I mean, the group stage is like the first round, essentially, where teams are divided into groups. And they play each other to see who moves on to the knockout stage. And to have the reigning champions get knocked out in the first round, so to speak, is just unheard of.
Yeah, so that really raises the stakes for this game. Yeah. And then you look at City's away form. It's not been great. 2 losses in a row, and they haven't just lost. They've lost by multiple goals. So, yeah, there's some trouble there.
There are some real warning signs. But I think, when we think about this game tactically, it really is a clash of styles. I mean, you've got Marquinhos for PSG. He's their captain. And he's actually leading the entire Champions League in passes this year.
Wow.
I mean, this guy is the engine for them. And he's going to be going up against Erling Haaland, City's goal machine, who actually scored 2 goals past Marquinhos when they last played.
Ooh, that's a juicy matchup right there.
Yeah, it is. It is.
It's one to watch. But you mentioned clash of styles, and I think this stat really backs that up. Only 2 of PSG's last 8 Champions League games have seen both teams score. So does that mean we're in for like a low-scoring tactical battle?
I think it's possible. PSG, under their current coach, they love possession. They like to control the tempo of the game.
Right.
And if they can do that against City and really limit Haaland's chances, they've got a real chance to win. But on the flip side, City are known for being this high-scoring, attacking team. So if they want to get past PSG's defense, they may have to adapt and play a little bit more cautiously than they're used to. So I think you could be right. We might see a really tactical game.
And it just makes you think, like, if these teams are struggling and they've got all this money, like, what does that say about, the role of money in football? Is it really the key to success, or is there something else going on?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. And I think, these 2 clubs are kind of perfect examples of the fact that money can't just buy you trophies.
Right.
I mean, yes, you can buy a bunch of amazing players, but you can't buy team chemistry. You can't buy tactical awareness. You can't buy the mental strength to perform under pressure. And I think that's what we're seeing in this game. Both of these teams, they've got to find a way to overcome their recent struggles and perform on the biggest stage. And money's not going to, do that for them.
Yeah, and it makes you realize it's not that simple, right? It's not just about, okay, we've got the best players, we're going to win. There's so many other things that go into it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, as we watch this match unfold, I think it's important to look beyond just who wins and loses. It's also about how they win and lose. Which team is going to show more resilience? Which team is going to make the smarter adjustments? Because, frankly, the answers to those questions might be even more revealing than the final score itself.
Well, you've definitely given me, and I think all of our listeners, a lot to think about going into this match. Oh, gosh, it's going to be fantastic. But any final thoughts for our listeners before we wrap up?
Yeah, given everything we've talked about, I think here's something interesting to consider. Where do you think the pressure is higher? Is it on PSG to finally prove they can win in Europe? Or is it on Manchester City to avoid this historic upset? Because I think the answer to that question is really interesting and adds another layer to what's already a fascinating matchup.
That is a great question to ponder. I don't even know the answer to that. I'll be thinking about that all week. And listeners, we want to know what you think. Let us know. Who's under more pressure going into this match? What are your predictions for the match? Let us know.
Yeah.
And, this has been a fantastic deep dive. I can't wait to see how this one plays out on the pitch.
Me too.
It's going to be
It's to
exciting.
be a classic.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening.
We'll see you next time.